already worked with another 40 or 50 this year, and everybody is like raving about it. They, I've had so many people give amazing reviews and just say like, no one's doing this. This is so helpful. When are you doing retreat number 2? That kind of thing. And so, and I'm making money.
Hey everybody, Javan Bernakevitch here with allpointsdesign.ca and the Regenerative Business Mentorship, a partnership between myself and Rob Avis of Adaptive Habitat and Verge Permaculture. Today I'm joined by the incredible, the indelible Chris Faroe, who I taught, I think 5 or 6 years ago. Is that true, Chris? Is
20, yeah, 4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago, right? We met each other. I was the instructor at a permaculture design certificate out at OUR Eco Village, and you were there. And at the time, we looked vastly similar. I was converged in the facial similarities.
We both have a beard now, at least.
Yeah, we both have a beard. Yeah, right. But what was so interesting about Chris at that time is that he was trying to figure out what to do with his career and his life as an artist. And Chris, you had an ailment at that time, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a vocal condition that made it essentially so that singing or even speaking was really painful, and gotten a lot better since then, still deal with it a little bit, but I had been a musician who I had quit my job to do that full time, and right around then this started, and it got to the point where I just had to stop making music altogether for several years. I was trying to figure out what to do instead.
Right. And that was one of the main things that you and I had connected about, because I was not only teaching the design course, but I was also talking a lot about right livelihood, holistic life context to redesign and understand. And that became a real interest of yours. And so when this program came up, where were you at? Like, what was your situation? What were you dealing with?
Yeah, ever since 2014, when I took that permaculture design course, I was really interested in permaculture and sustainability principles, but also helped me realize like I'm never going to be a farmer. And at the same time, so like for my design course, actually, we all had to do a design project, and everybody did sort of land-based design mapping or whatever. And I used the permaculture mapping tools we had learned to map a business plan for the eco village. And so that kind of set the gears turning. And I'd been picking away at trying to take sustainability patterns from permaculture and sustainable agriculture and apply them to the more abstract concepts of what it means to have a sustainable creative career. And so I had spent those years helping other musicians and other artists with their creative projects, like people who are really talented, but like doing something in a way that was very unsustainable. So I managed crowdfunding campaigns and also just did kind of general advising, talking every once a week with a friend to help them set up their business. And I was doing that in a very loose capacity, often for free. And just because I was really believed in the work the person was doing. And it turned out they found my advice very helpful. But I didn't have any kind of a business structure set up around that. And over time, I realized, for instance, there was one friend who had done a Kickstarter for her band to record an album years ago. They raised $3,000 and recorded an album. She came to me and asked me to manage her campaign. And I had done a few things like that before, but I just was like, okay, this is a chance to try out my strategic approach. And long story short, with the same band and her same network, I helped her raise over $17,000 to record her next album. And I was like, okay, wow, my help is helpful to people. I need to turn this into something that's a lot more systematic and that has a sales process and, hone finer points of exactly what process I bring my clients through. So that was kind of what I was coming with is, I know I have a lot of good raw materials, but they need to be honed and turned into something that I can actually use as a business that feeds me and is sustainable for me.
Yeah, brilliant. I remember so many of the phone calls, you having so many interesting ideas and having actually a lot of good track record, a lot of good success, but trying to understand process and how do I take people in and how do I work with it? That to me seemed like a lot of the problems that you were struggling with. Were there others?
Yeah, I think that was like that sales process of just sort of knowing what to charge somebody, and especially if it's working with a friend, like knowing how to keep that relationship strong and also have like a professional systematic process to bring them through. Like that Kickstarter that we raised over 17 grand for, I think I got paid a few $100s for it at some point. And I was noticing like, okay, like I'm worth more than this, but I need to set up a structure that feeds me what I'm worth. And another thing too, it was just having accountability. Like I can get on fire and have a really good work day by myself as a solo, business person, but also I can lie around on the couch all day and like 2 months go by. So having just a weekly structure and an accountability partner to check in with, and people who like even still months and months later I talk with on a regular basis, was kind of like, that's skipping ahead to kind of what I got out of it. But that was a hole there. I needed a business partner, and there wasn't anybody who could be my business partner in this. So there was a gap there in accountability, I guess.
Well, that's interesting, because that kind of brings up the idea that when you're in a program like this, you end up finding problems that you didn't know you had, but you were struggling with. And that was something that, like, it's almost a year from the first time you took the first course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the conversation, as you and I have spoken with, and I've spoken with other Regenerative Business Mentorship Level 1 participants, you are still talking now, like a year later, still having good connections. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't know that they're missing until they have it. It's one of those things you don't know you have until you until it's lost. In this situation first. But that was huge, because you would come back after the breaks in between the weeks, and you'd be on fire, right? Like conversations with other people in the course. And I saw such a marked change between that and then the second time, because you took the level 1 twice.
Yeah. And that was what was cool, is I maybe identified a lot of those holes and what needed shoring up, and noticed the weak links and prioritized what order to attack them in, and in the first section. And that gave me several months to start just working also on, I knew I had a product, but it was so raw, I couldn't point out what exactly it was. But by the end of that, and talking, kind of offline with some people who had done a little more holistic contact work and stuff like that, I was able to really start creating a very structured product. And then in the second half, I was like, okay, where do I go with this? And so it was kind of good to make the thing and then figure out where to go with the thing.
Yeah. There's so many different aspects to being an entrepreneur and to starting a business and to understanding what you're doing, that there really is that culturation or that curation of the idea, and then how to roll it out. So that sounds like maybe one of the insights you gained from the program. Are there other insights or other gain points or benefits that you took away?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I got so much out of it. And I think, just going through the systematic approach that you and Rob brought with the principle-based sort of conversation is really helpful. I mean, the summer after I took the first level 1, I was traveling around, and honestly, most of the people I know and their friends are artists or creative people or small business people. And I probably went through your principles with all of them, like at least 50 times with 50 different people, just because, and it wasn't because I was like, here, let me tell you these principles. We were just having really practical conversations about pricing, or, how to be more sustainable in the business. And I was like, hey, listen, just come around to these truths that you guys brought, because I think they are so, they really are connected to something that is universally helpful for anyone who's in this kind of a space. And something I noticed through the principles is like, a good principle sounds obvious when you just say it. It's like, well, of course. But then you flip it around and say, but are you doing it? Like, is that actually, and then you're like, oh, okay, are you actually profitable and not subsidizing your business? Oh, okay, good point. And so I got to flip that around and practice that with a lot of other people. And it helped me continue to realize in my own business and in my own life, like how important those things were. So even if I had gotten nothing else, just like a deeper and more profound understanding of those simple truths and the principles, it was worth the whole thing. But then on top of that, we've already talked about it, but my other main takeaway and the main value I got from it was essentially being part of a community that I had, I knew I needed something, and just almost statistically, when you have a dozen or more people who are also really focused and talented and driven and concentrating on this stuff, and even if you can get one or two of them to keep having a conversation with you, that accountability is literally why I have the business I have now. A year later, it's because Carlton would be like, okay, I need you to map out your process for me by next week. And so, and this is after the mentorship was done, but it's because of the mentorship, and we had the same vocabulary, and we had been through the same experience with Rob. So we were kind of had the same foundation, and then could extrapolate off of that. And so that, same thing with Susan, where I was having conversations that are really helpful. And sometimes I have to remind myself, I've never even met these people in person, but we're very close friends. And I've gotten so much value from the combined experience of this group of people that it was kind of ties back to you and Rob. And also, since I do sort of similar work to you in some ways, you do life design, and I help people do career design, which is essentially a version of getting the life that you want in a sustainable fashion. I refer to you and your work so regularly, and just kind of having that touchstone has been really helpful, and getting to know you guys better. You have so much experience, and a lot of the anecdotes and the books you've recommended, and the podcasts we've talked about. All of those are things that are regularly folded back into my daily life as a person trying to run this business. So all of that and more.
Well, thanks so much, mate. I really appreciate that. I think you are a great example of taking an idea, a principle set, a conversation, and then niching it, because you work specifically with artists and creative people. So if you could encapsulate your business, what do you do?
I tend to work specifically with music, really driven, but also feeling underappreciated and overworked and frustrated because of that. And so I try to help those people create sustainable careers doing what they love on a day-to-day basis.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And if you take a look from where you were pre-program to where you are now, what would you say are the gaps or the missing pieces that you were able to come up to? You've spoken a little bit about it now, but if we could sort of get a before picture and after picture.
Before I was doing this, again, I had 4 or 5 years of experience helping people in some capacity, and over 10 years doing it on my own career, but it was a very non-process oriented, intuitive approach where I would just kind of try stuff out, and my pricing and sales process were similar. I'd be like, oh, let's talk about that later. We'll figure it out. I just want to support you. And then I would spend 2 years doing weekly calls with somebody and not getting paid for it, and subsidizing their business, which is great if you can afford that, but I couldn't afford it. So where was I? Financial weak link, very much so. And not having a structure to address that very weak link, even, doing what I wanted to do. Now, a year later, I have a very specific process, which is, it's always developing, it's always getting better, but the foundation is very much there, and I'm really confident in it. I think a lot of, even just taking the online course helped me learn even better sort of how to work with people. Watching you guys in the process, you brought people through. I just beta tested my own 8-week online course, and I'm going to do a 12-week in the fall. I've taught 5 weekend retreats to groups of artists that, bringing them through my process. I've worked with several one-on-one clients. Now I'm on a workshop tour. I'm actually in Denver right now. I usually am based in New York, but I've taught kind of 7 or 8 workshops in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And so I'm doing introduction workshops now. I've connected with maybe 40 new people, already worked with another 40 or 50 this year, and everybody is raving about it. I've had so many people give amazing reviews and just say no one's doing this. This is so helpful. When are you doing retreat number 2? That kind of thing. And so, and I'm making money. It's not my only business yet. It's still, I'm taking kind of stepping stones to get there, but I have a clear path, and I know, and I'm very confident in my product in a way that I'm really happy to charge what it's worth, and really excited about all the places it's going to grow. So that's the before and after. It's pretty good.
Awesome, man. Well, this brings up the next question. What are you excited about for the future, or what's next?
One thing I'm excited to do this, I was joking with you earlier that this is my tourcation. I'm on a workshop tour, and I'm also making sure to take vacation along the way. And I've done my own career design work as part of this process, but I'm going to take at least 3 days and sort of find a cabin to lock myself into or something and just do the deep work of my own career design and get myself farther in my own process than I've gotten everybody else. So that'll help me be really clear on what's coming in the next year or so, as well as knowing, what is retreat do? What are those, once I brought people that far, what do I do next? So it's kind of research and development and personal work at the same time. That's really great. So I'm excited to come up with all of the specifics this summer, and I'm going to really spend some time doing that. But as a general picture, like I'm just continuing to work towards connecting with more people and trying to come up with a format that mostly online that can connect with a lot of folks I can't connect with in person, because there's so many people who are hungry for this and need it desperately. And I just want to come up with mechanisms that connect them with that. And so, I think I've already had people tell me that some of the work is life-changing, and there's nothing like that. So I want to keep doing more of that, and that's what I'm excited about.
Awesome. That's so exciting to hear. And just because I've seen you from, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know if I offer anybody, am I out of my mind, to hearing that and to having that feedback from folks, that's, oh man, it's huge. Just warms me. Now I'm smiling from ear to ear, and it's going to be hard to unsee the smile. But who's this program for? Like, if folks wanted to get into the Regenerative Business Mentorship Program, who would you say is a really good fit? Who are the people that you think, you should definitely go and take this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that definitely people who have a gift to give, but don't have a structure to give that gift. And again, people who could use the support. We're like all these lone wolves out there trying to do this thing, and you don't have to be a lone wolf. Like, you can have your wolf pack, go with the metaphor. But yeah, I mean, people who are looking for community and accountability, you will have ongoing relationships. And also people who, again, like, maybe they know what they want to do and they know what they have to give, but they need examples of structures that have worked for other people. So like you and Rob bring so much of that. So just, you can give examples of like, we were in your position 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and this is what worked for us, and this is what we tried that didn't work. So like, I think anyone who would benefit from those structures, and it was so cool to see the diversity of people in it. Like, they're mushroom farmers and, small vegetable farmers and medical marijuana consultants, like whatever. And then me, as kind of like, what I do is regenerative and based on sustainable agriculture, but also in some ways has nothing to do with that. But I think that's a testament to how your principles really hold up across a lot of different fields. And so I'd say, it's not that it works for anybody, but it will work for a lot of people who if you have a small business or are thinking about finally launching that small business, but need some tools and a team to do that, that's who it's for.
If folks wanted to get in touch with you, if they're creatives or artists, they need help with career planning or with managing campaigns or social media, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Absolutely. It's my website is chrisfaroe.com. It's just my name. My last name is spelled Faroe. And you can go on there and get in touch with me through through email. My email address is on there, or you can find out more about the retreat tour that I'm on now and future retreats and the online workshop, all this really exciting stuff. So yeah, get in touch. I'm always happy to chat with people, have a sort of free 20-minute conversation to just connect and see where you are. But I'm really nerding out hard about this. And so for anyone who is really any kind of a creative human who feels stuck and frustrated, like, I have tools that will help. I will talk to you about them for any length of time. And, let's take these abstract concepts and map them onto a piece of paper so that you know exactly where you're going.
Oh, Chris, it's so exciting. So exciting. I'm really excited for what you've got coming up. I'm excited for the Turcation. I love that. You know, I do a lot of those types of things as well. So it's so exciting to see you do that. And, thanks so much for being such an exceptional participant in the program. That's the cool thing about these programs is that, anybody can take them, but it's really folks who show up, do the work, do the deep dive, and really want to pull a lot out of the program. And you did, like, you showed up and then some, and you took that value out of it. And I think that's one of those things that is a wonderful principle for life. How much you show up is how eligible you are for the value you receive. You sit there sort of on the back foot saying, okay, well, who's going to serve me today? Chances are you're not going to get a lot of it, but you went in there, you're super hungry, and you built an incredible amount of value out of it. And I think what's more important is you built an incredible amount of value for all of the individuals you've worked with since then. There's a number of people, and we've talked a little bit about it. There's a number of people who are set straight now, right there. We joked originally in the program that we could rename your business how to make music without the music label, like getting music labels, like getting musicians off drugs, because that self-enforced feedback or that societal pressure in programming, you have to have a label to be successful. But in the advent of self-publishing and the advent of the democratization of the internet, the second big Gutenberg press revolution of the world, individuals can have a huge reach and become really connected with your audience. And I think what was missing in that is the path or the guide that would help people build the map. And that's exactly what you do. And I'm so stoked that you're out there, because I've sent a few musicians your ways and a few creative people, because I just know that you're the right fit. And that's the cool thing about the fact that, I do this work for life design, for career design as well. And yet you're a creative, so it makes perfect sense to send people to you because you're well connected. And that's the neat thing about having access to everybody on the planet via the internet. You have a massive audience and potential pool to say, I'm just like Chris. I was a creative and I don't really know what I'm doing. Maybe Chris could help me. So if you're watching this and you're thinking that, that's me, reach out to Chris, incredible guy, 20-minute phone call for free. Just, you'll take value away even from that. This has turned less into a testimonial and more into just fine by me. But Chris, I just want to say thank you again for your time, and hopefully we'll see you in the Regenerative Business Mentorship Level 2 program.
Would love to be there. Looking forward to it. And thank you guys so much. I mean, it definitely is. I can tell you the ways my life has changed because of my work with you. And so I'm excited to see all the other people that you can connect that with. And what you said is true, flipping it back to a commercial for your thing. No, but it's so true that you get what you put in. And, if you're thinking about taking this, it's so easy to be too busy and not show up. But if you just go that extra mile and take this seriously, there's almost no end to the places you can go with it and what you'll get out of it. And that's completely up to you. So Rob and Javan are sort of presenting this opportunity. And I highly recommend that you jump right in the deep end and take it as much as possible.
Chris, thank you so much for your time, mate. I really appreciate it. Have a great tour.
My pleasure. I'll see you soon. Great talking with you, Javan.
Thanks, mate.